Members, any other questions? If not, we're going to go ahead and start calling our, yes. Representative Oliveira.
Representative Laubenberg, traditionally we have had a rape and incest, not just the life of the woman exception. You're not allowing women to get abortions if they're victims of rape and incest?
That is at 5 months. At 5 months. I put the fetal abnormality exception in there because, as has been pointed out, many times you don't know about those abnormalities until later into the pregnancy. Rape and abortion are horrific violations to a woman, to a child. And when that happens, I want to make sure that whoever does that is punished to the full extent. And I don't even know what the penalties are now.
So if my daughter gets raped, she will have to have that baby?
At 5 months.
She will have to have the baby. What you're telling me.
5 months.
Under your big brother statute.
At 5 months, it is a fully developed
and children that are
baby.
Victims of incest?
We need
young
to go.
Girls?
We need to go after that person who has done that.
Yes, we do.
And not double violate the woman.
You're the one proposing a lifetime violation. This woman will have to carry that child and then watch it grow and know for the rest of her life, every day, that she was raped. That's a continuing rape to me. That crime doesn't
Representative
stop
Oliveira,
there.
no one understands that like a woman.
Then why don't you have it in your bill?
And that is the reason why I have the exception for the fetal abnormality.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Members, any other questions? If not, we're going to go ahead and start calling our witnesses. And just as a reminder to our witnesses, we have a lot of witnesses, so we're going to ask that you adhere to the 3 minutes. So we're going to be timing. So I think it's real important if you have, we'll let you reserve the right.
That's close.
If you don't have, new things to add, then, get right to the point. If you do, that's fine. But remember, when we tell your time is up, appreciate we're not trying to be disrespectful, but when your time is up, it's going to be up, okay? Otherwise, we'll never get through. We'll be here this time tomorrow. So with that, the chair is going to call Ann Bedroni, Planned Parenthood, here to speak against the bill. Ann, are you here? Once again, Ann may be in the other room. We're going to certainly allow her the opportunity to testify. We'll go ahead and we'll show her against the bill, not testifying. If she's here, she can testify later. And we'll go to the next witness. Hannah Beck, National Organization for Women and UTSA. How can you, excuse me. Hold on 1 minute.
Is there any way that I'm going to know how much time I have left?
Pardon me?
Is there any way that I'll know how much time I have left?
Yeah, we'll show you when you have a minute left. Okay, so Hannah, I hear you here to testify against the bill. And just for the record, everybody come up if you'll be sure and state your name and who you represent, and your position. So go ahead.
And who's going to tell me when I have a minute? I will.
She will right here.
Thank you. All right. Hello, Chair and committee members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Hannah Beck, and I'm a constituent of Representative Trey Martinez-Fisher. I'm here to testify against this bill because it will radically decrease health care services available to women in Texas. Firstly, unsafe abortions are going to increase. 10% of Texas women in 2008 got pregnant, and of those, 15% decided to have abortions. Now, as somebody who's written and researched a lot about this, I can tell you that over 50% of students coming out of high school have already had sex. And that's because, despite the fact that this legislature has decided to have abstinence-only education, they're still doing it. So when you look at all of these figures and statistics and we see what's happening over the course of the past years, there's an obvious trend. So we see that sex is going to happen, pregnancy is going to happen, likely abortion is going to happen as well. if this legislature decides that they're going to decrease the amount of abortion clinics available by so much that there are only a total of 5, that will be incredibly detrimental to our state. We're going to have a lot of women who are pursuing unsafe abortions because they don't think that they have any other options. And I don't blame them for that. But the point is that this legislature has the ability to stop that from happening, and if this legislation passes, we're going to see it radically increase. Going on, if they do decide to carry to term and give birth, a lot of children are going to suffer from this. The Children's Health Insurance Program has been radically overloaded for quite some time now. In, I think it was June of 2000 when it started, there were about 17,000 children who are on that program. As of more recent statistics in 2013 and 2012, over 600,000 children are using it. I don't think I need to tell you, especially conservatives, that the economy is not really doing so great, that education is not doing so great, and that healthcare is not doing so great. So ultimately, when you put all of these things together, you're going to have children that are being born into families who don't necessarily want them or can't afford to take care of them. And that's detrimental to our society, that's bad for our children, and it's not fair to them at all. This is honestly kind of a perfect storm. If you look at all the issues that are happening in the Texas legislature right now and all the issues that are happening in Texas, we're really not in a good place. And to allow children to be born into that situation is incredibly negative. I don't know if I need to stay here, but speaking to you directly, you said that there's no exceptions for victims of rape or incest. Thank you. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that I think that is completely ridiculous. I don't care if it's 5 months after the time that you have to make that decision. There is no way that you should be able to put a time limit on the woman who has been assaulted and tell her that she has 5 months to make a life-changing decision. That is completely ridiculous. You know, I'm a student. I'm very involved in local politics. I came here from San Antonio today. I actually skipped class so that I could tell you guys how horrible this is. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that if this passes, you know, maybe you've won one of these things, you got the battle, but you're not going to win the war. And ultimately, we're going to have a lot of people whose job it becomes to unseat the representatives that have done that.
Present.
Good question.
Quickly, any questions?
Yeah. What your research, was it from your university student perhaps, or was it?
I'm a student at UTSA. What research are you referring to?
That you started your testimony with, you said you had done a lot of research.
Well, I've actually been selected to go to the Archer program. I'm an Archer fellow in the UT system.
And what? I'm sorry?
The Archer program in DC.
Oh, Archer. Okay.
I'm an Archer fellow. And for my policy paper, I wrote about progressive sex ed. I also know a lot about it as a feminist, and I do research pretty frequently. Lastly, I think I cited a Bloomberg article that came out about Senate Bill 5.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And members, any other questions? And Hannah, we have you, the National Organization for Women, correct?
Can I list more than one organization?
Yes. I'm showing you're representing National Organization for Women at UTSA, correct?
And I can only represent one?
Okay, very good. Thank you.
If she wants them, she can do another. Can she list another organization?
Pardon me?
Am I allowed to represent multiple organizations?
You can fill out one that you under that you did not testify. You should put it that you did not. Here, Bernie's helper. Okay.
She'll help you. All right, members, any other questions? We're going to go ahead and call our next witness, Melissa Acosta, here representing herself to speak against the bill.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? We only laying out one bill?
Pardon me?
We're only laying out one bill?
Just one.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair and Committee, for allowing me to testify this evening. My name is Melissa Acosta, and I'm a constituent of Representative Donna Howard, and I'm here to testify against these bills because I want to speak for women and for women to make their own decisions. It is really that simple. With a situation like this, we're putting women in a very vulnerable position, cutting back services and denying them rights and services they really should be able to. We're denying them the rights that they should be able to make on their own, with their own bodies and reproductive health. I would just like to thank, Representative for considering the fetus and the pain that the fetus would go through. But again, thinking of the child born in a situation where the parent or guardian is unable to care for that child is more concerning for me. And I would just like to express that this is something that I do not support, and it's a scary thought thinking about what could happen within our state if this is allowed to continue. So, thank you. Thank you.
Matthew Chandler, Young Democrats at UTSA.
Excuse me, you had called me and I was in the overflow room. My name is Ann Bedroni. I was the first person called. May I have the right to speak?
Okay. We're going to go ahead and let you testify, and Matthew, when she gets through, you'll come up and give the next one to testify.
Okay.
So, Ann Bedroni, Planned Parenthood, here to speak against the bill.
Yes, I'm also here to speak as an American citizen against the bill. I'm here speaking because I am a citizen of the United States, and I'm protected under the laws of the United States.
Make sure we have your name for the record, please.
My name is Ann Bedroni.
Thank you. And Planned Parenthood?
I am a Planned Parenthood volunteer,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you represent yourself?
I can represent myself. Yes, I represent myself and Planned Parenthood.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm covered. I am protected by rights of the United States of America. And I find it very concerning that I happen to now live and vote in Texas, and that my rights as a woman are in jeopardy. My medical rights, my right to privacy. I'm here today to tell a personal story which I've never told before. I was fortunate to be raised in a strong and loving family, and I grew up with supportive parents. I was confident that I could craft and shape my future. I expected to be a productive member of society. Those are my goals. I never expected to be thrown into a frightening and heartbreaking situation. I never expected to have an unplanned pregnancy. I never expected what girl grows up and thinks, I want to be a lawyer. Oh, I want to have an unplanned pregnancy. Oh no, I want to have an abortion. I did not plan for or ever expect to have to choose. But fortunately, this was a horrible decision to have to make for me or any woman. I was 20 years old. I was working at a bank full time. I was going to college at night. I was living on the poverty level at that time. I did not live with my parents. I was a responsible adult, supporting myself, barely, but my goals were to increase in my future. I found out I was pregnant. If I was forced to have a child at the age of 20, when I still myself was a child, living on the poverty line, what chance would that child that would be born ever have of a normal future? I would have been thrown into poverty and cast off into a society that didn't want me or my child. I would have been considered shameful to my family who loved me, but this is where their generation was. I would have struggled to provide a life had I not had the chance to have a safe, legal abortion. I would be raising a child at a poverty level. I would continue to be one of those Americans who live in poverty and drain the government resources as they become less and less. If you pass these bills, SB 5, HB 16, and HB 60, what happens once that child is born? Does the government gather the child up and take care of that child for a lifetime? Are the resources available for daycare? Are the resources there for medical care? Who is there to pick up the mess that would be caused by SB 5, HB 16, and HB 60? This is a very, very short-sighted bill, and it throws women's health in jeopardy. It throws the lives of children you're trying to protect into jeopardy. It does not guarantee education rights for these children, food, nutrition, shelter, guarantees nothing. Nothing.
Members, any questions? Go ahead, Jessica.
And I just want to thank you for sharing a very personal story with this committee. I know it's very difficult, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Before we get to the next witness, would Melissa Acosta, would you, are you still here? Would you come back up, please?
It's hard to hear that you said.
Just for the record, I need to make sure because I think we've got you signed up a couple times, and once is for the bill. Are you for the bill or against the bill? You're for the bill?
Yes.
Or against the
Yes.
bill?
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to instruct the clerk to change.
Okay, well, we're going to instruct the clerk to change her witness affirmation showing her against the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please, everybody, there, once again, we have a lot of witnesses. Make sure that you have, if you're for it, please sign up for it. If you're against it, please sign up against it so we have got it right. Amanda Woog here testifying for herself against the bill. Is Amanda here?
She said they went to the restroom.
Okay, we will go to the next witness, and we can come back to her. John Yeaman here. Okay. Okay, Amanda.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair and Committee, for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Amanda Woog, and I'm here as a citizen. I'm against these bills. My mom told me yesterday that both my grandmothers had abortions. This was in, This was in the 1940s and the 1950s, and abortion was illegal. But I wasn't surprised to hear this. My mother has also had an abortion, and so has my sister. I know some of my aunts have as well. And I've seen friends, faced with the possibility of having a baby well before they were ready, decide to terminate their pregnancies. My family and friends don't love abortion. They're not pro-abortion. I don't know anyone who is. My family and friends are just like any other group of family and friends, in that there are women in it. Women get pregnant, and women have abortions. And if you take away their access to abortion, women will still have abortions, but they'll be placed in far greater danger. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that women have been trying to terminate pregnancies ever since they could get pregnant. 40 years ago, in 1973, the Supreme Court recognized this reality. Justice Blackmun spent the summer recess drafting Roe v. Wade, including a week at the Mayo Clinic, researching the history of abortion and the lengths that women will go to terminate a pregnancy. Writing for the court, Justice Blackmun affirmed a woman's right to choose whether to have an abortion. He noted that, quote, mortality rates for women undergoing early abortions where the procedure is legal appear to be as low as or lower than the rates for normal childbirth. Even then, without the benefit of 40 years of medical innovation, the court recognized that it is more dangerous to prohibit abortion than it is to allow it. At least 35% of women of reproductive age today will have an abortion by the time they reach 45. This 35% isn't all poor, and it's not all rich. The 35% doesn't mostly reside in other states or in other districts. The 35% isn't all single women or all married women. The 35% isn't all white or all black or all Hispanic. The 35% isn't all high school dropouts or college-educated women. The 35% isn't all atheist, agnostic, Christian, or Jewish. The 35% is our grandmothers, our mothers, our aunts, our sisters, our nieces, our daughters. They are wives, girlfriends, and friends. Before you vote on these bills, I ask you to do one thing. Talk to the women in your life. Ask them whether they have had an abortion. I also call on the grandmothers, mothers, sisters, daughters, I'm almost finished, and wives of Texas legislators to tell the legislators if they've had an abortion. You will be surprised. The 35% is your loved ones too, and your constituents as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony, members. Any questions? Thank you.